Coming up this morning, a new record for age and skydiving. A cement trucker saves the life of a woman, an amazing medical development for Parkinson's, and a first for marathon runners. It's Thursday. Let's cut through the fear and outrage for some positive news. All right. Welcome to another episode of Liberty Dad Podcast, a discussion on politics and culture. If you're tuning in live, then I especially thank you for giving me your time so early. I'm trying something new. We're going to see how this works. You'll have to let me know. I was getting kind of dismayed that I wasn't really getting my feed to Facebook. And so I'm back to streaming directly to Facebook. But the way that I'm doing this now is like I'm streaming because remember, I'm only able with the current setup that I have to stream to three different locations. Now you could go through and pay more money and stream to more, but it's like it goes from like three to eight, and I'm like, wow, I need four, so I don't really want eight. Three seems to be almost enough, but not quite. So I'm trying something new. I'm actually streaming directly to Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble, and then just putting a link on Twitter, Twix, X, whatever you want to call it, and we'll see how that works out. Um, I'm just not sure that I'm not sure that a lot of people are actually watching directly from Twitter, so we'll see. So let me know. Send me a comment. Drop a comment and be like, "Hey, DL, no, this is a terrible idea," or "Hey, it's a great idea. Glad to have you back." Whatever the case may be, just kind of let me know whether or not this is actually working for you. All right, so what do we have for positive news? So Thursdays, every Thursday, I'm going to dig through, I'm going to fight my way through all the terrible news stories. And I'm going to bring you something enjoyable, something that you can kind of feel good about, right? Because goodness, like get on the internet and there's just all this negative stuff. And it's like, is there anything good happening in the world? Anything to be kind of like, make me feel better on my drive to work? Well, as it turns out, there is. And I'm going to be the one to bring it to you every Thursday. So look forward to that. That's what I've decided. Positive news on Thursdays. So what do we got up first? So here's an interesting article. And this is, let's see here. Let's get this up on the screen so that we can see this. All right. There we are. So 104-year-old, whoops, so scroll that down a little bit. So a 104-year-old woman skydives from a plane aiming to break the record for the world's oldest skydiver. This is out of Chicago. So she said Dorothy Hoffner said age is just a number. Well, isn't that awesome? And look at that picture. Like she's excited. She's enjoying this. I hope that I can live to be 104 and that I could skydive. Maybe I can live to be 105 and break Dorothy's record. So let's see what he says here. Let's see. She is hoping to be certified as the oldest person to ever skydive after leaving her walker on the ground and making a tandem jump in northern Illinois. Age is just a number, Dorothy Hoffner told a cheering crowd moments after touching the ground Sunday at Skydive Chicago in Ottawa, about 85 miles southwest of Chicago. Scroll this up a little bit bigger. How about that? Make this a little easier to read. All right, let's go, Geronimo. Hoffner said after she was finally seated. When she first skydived, she said she had to be pushed out of the aircraft. But on Sunday, tethered to a U.S. Parachute Association certified instructor, Hoffner insisted on leading the jump from 13,500 feet. She looked calm and confident when the plane was aloft and its aft door open to reveal crop fields far below shortly before she shuffled toward the edge and leaped into the air. She tumbled out of the plane headfirst, completing a perfect forward roll in the sky before flying stable in free fall with her belly facing the ground. They're very good at describing this. Like I feel like I'm almost there. The dive lasted 7 minutes, including her parachute's slow descent to the ground. Coming into land, the wind pushed Hoffner's white hair back. She clung to the harness over the narrow shoulders, picked up her legs. I feel like I should be reading this in a more like dramatic tone. Like I'm just kind of reading this like I'm just like reading it out loud, like I'm in high school or something. I feel like it should say like coming into land. The wind pushed Hoffner's white hair back. She clung to the harness over her narrow shoulders, picked up her legs, plopped softly onto the grassy landing area. Oh, how about that? Is that better? I think that's better. So, at any rate, so this is a really great story. Congratulations on being 104. So, what was funny about the story when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's kind of funny because what was it like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago? So, my mother in law, who lives with us, she is 80 years old. She just turned 80 years old. I put a picture up on I put a picture of her up on social media a while back when we were having her birthday. It was like 2 Sunday nights ago. And, we were driving around and I was telling her, I was like, "Hey, would you like to go skydiving?" I don't know what made me think of this, but I was like, "Hey, would you like to go skydiving?" She was like, "Oh, no, no, no." She was like, "I'm too old." And I was like, "Nah, nah, nah, you're not too old." And then we have a place called, what's that called? iSky, iSky? I think it's iSky. But we have an indoor skydiving facility here in Jacksonville. And so then I was like, "Well, why don't we go to this indoor one?" And I like showing her pictures of it and videos, and I thought I almost had her convinced to go, but nope, not so much. So, that's my goal now is to get my mother-in-law to go skydiving at the local indoor skydiving place. I will report back to you if I am successful in that endeavor, but, so far, it doesn't appear that she's very interested. So, at any rate, let's move on to our next story. So, the next three stories, I actually have video of them because I thought that was gonna be interesting. I like to throw in some videos in here, and then I don't have to do all the talking. And maybe you don't have to just like, man, I got to hear Dale's voice. I mean, you did come to my podcast, but maybe break it up a little bit. So, here's a new story. Here's a really cool story. I like this one. Um, this is a good deed done by somebody. Think it was in Canada. So let's share this and then let's take a look. So this is about a cement truck driver saving a woman's life. There's actually video footage of him doing it.
It was instinct took over. I try to live my life both from my heart and my gut, and that's what was in control. There was no thoughts at that moment. When she waved to me, and as quickly as she pulled off the road, my heart knew something's wrong. I did it once, not that hard. She didn't, no response. Second time, I put a little more muscle into it, and that's when she wiggled and turned around and said, "It's okay, we got it." In a way, it's obvious there is a higher power. She, it just, her angels, my angels got together and it worked out.
All right. So that's a great story. And one of the things that I like about it is this is on the highway. So this man, just reacted. And we sometimes will see scary stories. I think there was one a while back where like a woman saw a child on the side of the highway. She was on the phone, then all of a sudden she like disappeared. I'm not even sure what happened with that one, but I saw people and they were like, "Well, I wouldn't, I wouldn't stop." And I don't think that people are being mean per se, but I think that people are like, "Well, I'm not going to stop because I'm afraid." So I like the fact that this man was what I would like to call a proper man. A man, women can speak for themselves, but I'm going to speak, in regards to men. We need to be out there and be prepared to help out others when we see them in need. And sometimes, yeah, that might mean you put yourself in danger. I mean, don't put yourself in stupid danger, but, you know, help out your fellow man, because what if that were you? What if it were you that needed help? You're going to want somebody that's there to help you, and maybe you don't have time to wait for police or some other first responder. Maybe the first responder is simply your fellow citizen. So kudos to that man for for diving in. There's not really a whole lot to say. Like, that's what I expect men to do. Hey, I see somebody in need. I'm going to go help them. And it just so happens that he caught it on videotape. And it just so happens that the media reported it so that I could report it and bring it to you. So, all right, moving on. This one comes out of Europe, I believe. So this is very interesting, or at least that's who's reporting it. But this is about Parkinson's. Interestingly enough, my mother-in-law is has Parkinson's as well. So, but she is still doing pretty well. But this is an interesting story about advanced stage Parkinson's and what happened with the new medical advancement. So let's go ahead and play that. This will probably be a short episode, folks, but that's okay. All right. Switzerland. It's out of Switzerland.
My role was to implant electrodes over the spinal cord responsible for locomotion. So those are the last 6 centimeters of the spinal cord, and I applied electrodes on the top of the spinal cord that are linked to a neurostimulator located under the skin in the region of the abdomen. We start programming the stimulator in order to apply this electrical stimulation to the spinal cord of Mark, and he starts walking better.
So we've got 153,000 people affected by Parkinson's in the UK now, and about 12 million globally. So unfortunately, as people progress down their Parkinson's journey, the medications stop working. So with that individual that underwent the implantation, he was having freezing, having regular falls, and that is really quite a common occurrence in somebody with advanced Parkinson's. So you are dealing with a significant number that would potentially benefit from this.
All right. That was really amazing. It's, as they say, what a time to be alive. I mean, think about this for a moment. We are able to implant a pacemaker over the spine that will stimulate the spine and allow somebody who was no longer ambulatory to walk. Like, they can walk again. Just think about it like that, And so this is like an amazing development. And it's not even creepy. Like, some of the stuff that you hear about, like there was that video a while back where a woman was waving her hand over at um, she was at the Whole Food store and she was waving her hand over by the register, and she was able to pay by waving her hand. And that was kind of creepy, right? Like, we've all read Revelation, and it's like, hey, talking about the mark of the beast and paying, you could only buy food if you had the mark of the beast on your right hand or your forehead. And then the woman uses her right hand to pay for her groceries. Like, that was creepy. It was cool nonetheless. Don't get me wrong. But it was creepy. But this one, this idea that we can help somebody walk again, a basic function of life with some technology. Um, that was just really, really amazing to watch. And it was like, I'm glad this man received it. I hope that the technology flourishes and, of course, becomes cheaper so that more people who end up having Parkinson's can benefit from it. So it was really neat to watch, just to see that this man could walk again. And I hope we continue down the path of really great medical advancements. All right. So my last story is like a very heartwarming story. So I think you're gonna like it. I liked it. I thought it was great. And remember, folks, I like these stories. I think all of them are relatively recent. So I'm not like pulling something from like 5 years ago. These are relatively recent. I mean, I try to keep it within like a month range. Sometimes you may not see something, or I may not see something initially, but ultimately, I'm trying to keep these stories relatively within the closest time frame from when I report them, so that that these are relatively recent stories. Because the whole point of good news, positive news, is that, hey, yesterday I was outraged about something, but today I can feel good about what's going on in the world because Liberty Dad reported it. So let's get on to this story. This is a really cool one. And my last story of the day. So this will probably be a relatively short episode, but that's okay.
Finally, tonight here, the marathon victory we can all celebrate, the runner who is definitely America strong. There were so many triumphs at the New York City Marathon, but there is one who didn't want to go unnoticed. After 10 hours, 9 minutes, the sun had gone down. 33-year-old Kaylee Williamson, who has Down syndrome, completing the marathon, 26.2 miles. The tears streaming down her face, Kaylee knew what she had accomplished. Her mother, Sandy, by her side, running the marathon with her. Kaylee placing the medal on her mother. Kaylee becoming one of the first women with Down syndrome to complete the New York City Marathon. Come on, Kaylee, go! She's been working toward this for years. In 2017, becoming the first person with Down syndrome to finish the Ascension Seton Austin Half Marathon in Texas, running 20 half marathons in all, the Los Angeles Half Marathon, the Detroit Half Marathon, and then New York City, the high fives to the children, the dancing, and the finish. Tonight, Kaylee telling us, I was so proud of myself that I did it. Her mother, Sandy, telling us, never allow the opinions of others to become the myth that defines you. Kaylee at the finish line saying she's already training for her next one. We are proud of you, Kaylee, and cheering you on.
All right. That warms my heart. It really does. Not the running part, just the fact that she was able to complete 10 hours of running. That's wild. Like, I can't imagine 10 hours of running. Now, I can very much imagine 10 hours of cycling, because I don't think I've cycled for quite 10 hours, but somewhere in the 7 to 9 hour range, somewhere around there. I have done some long, long cycling all day long, basically. So kudos to this young woman. And I don't really get too big into all the first, but hey, if you are the first to do something, why not celebrate it, right? Like, I don't, I like, sometimes I feel like we overdo it a little bit. We're like, oh, this is the first, and we kind of come up with some really nuanced, this is the first short person who this has this and this and this and this to do this. And I'm like, okay, I think we're stretching it a little bit there. But like, hey, if you are going to be the first at something, then hey, go enjoy it. Go and disregard what I say. Like, who cares what I say? Go enjoy it. Go be the first and go do something. I love the quote from the mother. She said, "Do not let the opinions of others." What'd she say? Let's go back to that. Let me look back at what she said here. Let me scroll back here because they put it up. She said, "Oh yeah, do not let the opinions of others become the myth that defines you." That is that's just an amazing quote. Like, I that's powerful. Let me say that again. Do not let the opinions of others become the myth that defines you. That's like absolutely. I'm kind of speechless on that because it's just like such an awesome quote. It's just one like, yeah, like that's great. I would like to have it up on a plaque. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll steal that and put it up on like a on my wall just to remind me. But this is a great story because she had been training for years, like you saw there in the video, where she had been running like several half marathons and then finally stepped it up and said, "All right, I'm going to do the full marathon." And I know the feeling, right? Like I know that feeling of completing it. Um, Once upon a time, I was doing a lot of cycling, like a lot of cycling. And my friends and I, we went and we did the half route for the Cherahalla Challenge, which is up in the mountains of Tennessee and North Carolina. And the first couple of years, we did the half route, which was like 56 miles, I think, something like that. No, 64 miles. I take it back. It's 64 miles. So basically, you go up the mountain and then you come back down, and it was grueling for us for the first the first two, and then we decided we're going to step it up and we're going to do the 115-mile route, which again you do all of them all in one day. So the 115 mile. Now we unfortunately did not complete that one. That one just that bested us. So I think I got like 72 miles, and then I was just like, "There's no more juice. There's no more juice." But I do know the feeling. The very first time that I went, the very first time, because I had never done anything at all close to that ever. And that first one was just rough. And when you get back and then you finally finish, like there's a feeling that is hard for me to describe. So I understand how Kaylee felt when she crossed the finish line at 10 hours and whatever minutes that they said, at the 10-hour mark for completing her marathon. So kudos to her. And if you're watching and you're like, man, I wish I could you can. Probably, I mean, unless you have like literally a physical thing that stops you, right? And be safe. But if you don't have a physical thing that's stopping you, then put in the time and the effort. Kaylee's done it. I've done it. Millions of other people have done it. You can do it too. So, anyway, all right. That's the end of my show. I don't have much for today. There's four stories. And I guess they went quicker than I thought, and that's okay. But I still want to thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this episode. And remember, every Thursday, I'm bringing you positive news stories. I'm going to dig and I'm going to find them, and we're going to bring these positive news stories so that you can have something to feel good about. Let's get past the outrage. Let's get away from the fear and the outrage and all the anger and getting on social media and dunking on people and getting dunked on, whatever the case may be. Let's get away from all that and let's find some positive things so that we know that, hey, you know what, maybe the world ain't so bad. It's got some things that really need to be worked out, but maybe it ain't so bad. So be sure to catch me every Monday or every morning, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern, for an informed discussion on politics and culture. And then again on Sundays, 7 p.m., where my co host, Susan Hogarth, and I look across the vastness of tyranny in this United States to find what the LP, the Libertarian Party, is up to. And we're going to bring you the events that they're hosting. Be sure to do all the proper audience actions. Subscribe to my YouTube channel or my Rumble channel. You can go to youtube.libertydad.com. You can go to rumble.libertydad.com. Make sure that you do all the audience things that you do, subscribe to my channel, ring the bell, make a comment. I enjoy reading the comments. And lastly, if you're a champion of liberty, your business is people and your product is liberty. I want you to have a great week. Catch you tomorrow. But for now, I'm out.